Hey, what's good, YouTube? It's your boy Salvadad here, coming to another video. This video is going to be talking to you about what I feel like are the best sides for the new archetype Qliphort. Everyone's been making these videos, and if you watch my other video, I talk about this deck being like the Ebola deck, because everyone is flipping out about it. Here's some cards that I feel like are the good cards to side for this deck. A couple cards I haven't seen either being played, and I really think they're good. And then I'll show you the cards that I feel like are really bad and that you shouldn't side for the deck. Um, so let's begin. The first card I have on my list is Macrocosmos. This card is really busted against the deck, but it can also hurt you. But if you're playing the right deck that can side this is really hurtful against the deck, because then their spell doesn't get the effect, they don't get any of their monsters to the extra deck. It's just a really good card to play, and I would definitely play it. Other than that, it's just overall just a good card, but it definitely has its minuses to you if you're playing like Shaddolls or something, or Burning Abyss, because you don't get your effects in the grave. That's why I don't feel like it's really a problem if you're playing the Qliphort deck. The next card is Vanity's Fiend. Vanity's Fiend is a very strong card against this deck, because half the time all you want to do with this deck is special summon. And this negates that. And it's a 2400 wall, and most of your monsters are only 2100 with the spell card. So the only thing that really stops this is, I guess, having Tool in defense mode, or Scout as it's called. But this card is very effective, and I know a lot of Burning Abyss players are going to be citing this now, and Shaddolls also. Another card that's really good is Winda. Winda really hurts this deck because it only lets you special summon one time. Yes, the one-time special summon is great, but half the time what you want is when you special summon, you're going for a disc play to get more combos off, or you're wanting to special summon more than once. So this card is very, very good and very strong. For all you Shaddol players, this card may rise in price just because of how good it is against this deck. The next card is not really sided, but it's Vanity's Emptiness. Vanity's Emptiness is just a great card overall. It's great against Burning Abyss and Shaddolls, and it's also very great against this deck because it basically locks them down. Because you'll end up with hands where all you can do is normal summon then, and it really hurts. The next card I want to talk about is Anti-Spell Fragrance. This card has been in a debate with a lot of people. I really like this card because if you activate this, that means they cannot activate their pendulums. And it's basically saying, hey, you can't pendulum summon, haha. This card is probably one of my favorite sides in all against the whole Qliphort deck in general, because it definitely hurts them the most. Like, out of all these cards on here, I would say Vanities, this one, and then Vanity's Fiend, Vanity's Emptiness, and Anti-Spell Fragrance are the three main ones. Another good card to side is Prohibition. Prohibition, you can use it to call any of the cards in their deck. Let's say it's Tower, or let's say it's Scout. Most likely when you activate this, you either want to call Scout or Disc. If you call Scout or Disc, it definitely puts your opponent at a disadvantage because it makes them have less plays. This card basically says, hey, you cannot activate that card while this is on the field. It is MST a bowl or whatever, but yeah. A couple other cards. D Fisher's really good if you can pull it off, but then it's kind of bad at the same time because then they can go into Exceeds and just get the plus off of it, I guess. That's why Macro is better. This card's still really good though against the whole deck. Another card I really like, it's a secret rare out of the last set. It's called Magical Spring. A lot of people have been talking about this card. It's just really good because if they have two pendulums, you just activate it, and then you draw two cards, and then pop two pendulums. And then, here's what it says, the whole thing. Draw any number of cards equal to the number of face-up spell cards your opponent controls. Then discard any number of cards equal to the number of face-up spell cards you draw. Until the end of your opponent's next turn after this card is activated, spell cards cannot be destroyed. I'm sorry, this is not the one I'm thinking of. This is just the +2. So if they control 2 pendulums, you draw 2 cards and then discard 2. It just opens up more plays for you. It's basically a free +2. In the end is what it comes down to. I was thinking of another one myself. And then another card that everyone's been flipping out about is Doomstar Magician. This is the one I'm thinking of. It says once per turn you can discard 1 card, then target 1 card in either player's pendulum zone, destroy that card, and if you do, draw 1 card. This card is really broken because it's basically like you discard and then you draw, and then you destroy either a scout or you destroy another pendulum, and it ruins their pendulum scale. And there's a lot of times where this card can be really, really good. And you're not minusing at all. You're basically getting a free card for popping one of their cards. It's basically an MST. Another good card, I think, this format is Thunder King. Thunder King's just really good because they cannot add cards from the deck to their hand except by drawing them. And if they special summon a monster, you contribute it to negate the summon. So there's a lot of great plays you can do with Thunder King. It's just a great card to draw. Now, for a couple of the cards that I've seen played and I don't like at all. Masker Restriction is probably the main one. I don't have one myself. I don't like this card because it says your opponent cannot tribute summon. Okay, I can't tribute summon, but I can still go off and pendulum summon you all day. And it leaves you at a disadvantage because then you can't tribute summon either. So you can't go into any monarchs or any good plays. So you're basically stuck doing your Burning Abyss plays or whatever, and those aren't strong enough to get over these guys when they special summoned. My opinion, this is just not a good card. I do not see it being played, and I do not see it having a future in this game. Another card is Systems Down. This card has a really been talked about card, and it's very debatable in my opinion, but most of the time when you activate this, paying that 1,000 life points to remove some cards, it says all face-up machine monsters your opponent controls in their graveyard. Well, most of the time they're not going to have any machines in their graveyard because they're all going to be in the extra. And all the ones they control, most of the time they're only going to control 1 to 2. So you're only going to hit 1 to 2 targets for 1,000 life points. And then they can just pendulum summon more next turn. The next card is Fairy Wind. Fairy Wind is a very strong card, but it can also hurt you in the end. This card is very nice because you contribute all of their pendulums, but the only bad thing about this is you both take damage. And this deck has a really strong ability of being able to poke you with very high monsters. So this card could end up being dead for you at times, because if you kill all their spell and traps, you're going to end up probably taking like anywhere from 1,200 to 1,200 plus damage in the end. And then you're killing all your face-up live cards too. Maybe let's say you have a face-up Mask Restriction, for example. That dies, and then it opens them up for more plays. And then on top of everything else, all their cards are going to go to the extra deck. So in the end, it's just not a good card in my opinion. The next card is Mistake. I really do not like this card because it's going to hurt you no matter what in the end. In any deck you play this in, there's always a time when you want to add cards from the deck to their hand. I don't care what deck you're playing. There's always a time. So citing this in just to hit Scout is not worth it in my opinion. It's just going to hurt you in the long run. The next card is Cursed Seal of the Forbidden Spell. A lot of people are citing this in to negate the Summoner's Art or to negate the Sacrifice. But most of the time when you get this card, they're already going to have that play done. So this card's just going to be a dead card to you. Yeah, that's my opinion. And then another card is Gores. Gores is really good, but then you have to set yourself up with no back row, which can really hurt you in the long run, because if you have no back row, the Qliphort player is just going to go off. Most of the time, they're going to try to go, if you have no back row, they're going to try to go into tower. They're not going to try to attack you. So this is just a bad card. Next card is Mind Crush. Mind Crush is great, but it's also very bad because when you do discard the Scout that they search, because 95% of the time they'll search Scout, they're just going to add it to the extra deck, and it's just going to be a 2,800 wall that's sitting there ready to pendulum summon. So I don't feel like it's a great card at all. The next card is Back Row Hate. People are citing in Twister, Tornadoes, MSTs, all this. Night Beam and all this. It's not worth it, guys. Like, citing in this and taking out strong traps like bottomless, for example, or whatever, or black horns or whatever you main, it's just not worth it to put in like extra spell and trap support, because besides this, all they really main is skill, or yeah, they main, most builds will main skill drain, but besides that is it's really it, and then you're just putting yourself at a disadvantage, because then you're not going to have the, you're going to probably open up with one of these, absolutely, but you're not going to have the ability to stop strong plays. Because yeah, you might hit scout with the MST, but then you leave yourself wide open. So in my opinion, you should not overextend on the spell and trap hate. If you're really going to do something like that, play Royal Decree or play Trap Stuns. Don't be siding into all of these. Maybe Malcat at 1, but that's about it. Another card is Blackhorn of Heaven. Blackhorn of Heaven is only really strong against this deck and maybe Burning Abyss. But this card is just not good because it's the fusioning for fusions. I said it in my last video. I mained it at 1, but I learned that in Shadal's it's an inherit summon. I've never played this against Shadal, so I didn't know that. So you cannot negate, like when they go fusion, you can't negate that with Blackhorn. And with these, yeah, you can Blackhorn it, but it's going to the extra deck and it's coming back. And then like Burning Abyss, I guess you could negate like Virgil or whatever, but it's just not strong enough. So I would not put this in. Bottomless Trap Hole is, if you don't already main it, I wouldn't side it. I would definitely main it because it's just good against this whole format. This is I was going to say, this is a great card. I forgot to put it in my good cards. This card's great because you can, once they go disc, they tribute disc, or they special summon their 2 off disc. You chain Bottomless, it removes both of them. It doesn't just remove one. It's going to remove both targets from disc, leaving them at a disadvantage, because then next turn they can't go into their tower that they probably searched. So this card is a good card to have, but sadly it is at the 1 of. And then finally for the bad cards, I put Deep Dark Trap Wall. I've been seeing a lot of people putting this in for some reason. I guess because it's like it banishes 1 level 5 or higher. Yeah, you're gonna banish my my disc, but then I'm still gonna get the effect. Or I'm sorry, no, this is the one where yeah. Okay, yeah. So they side this in for especially for disc or for tower. But the whole thing is this is gonna sit there and wait for those cards, and they're eventually going to realize that this is something that's going to hurt these two, and they're just going to keep poking you for damage. So I would not side this in, because it's just a waste of your time. Yeah, if you're playing Trap Tricks, it's kind of good, because it is searchable, but other than that, it's just not worth it. So yeah, guys, that's my opinion on what's good and what's not for siding against this Qliphort deck, or Ebola deck, as we're going to call it. If you guys have any other texts, please comment them down below. And like this video, and please subscribe to my channel, guys. I'll have a couple more videos coming up tonight. This is your boy Salvadad signing off. Peace, YouTube.